Good morning and or afternoon, and hello my fellow Alaskans. How are you guys all doing out there today? Hopefully you have liked and shared this video. I am hoping today to be able to get to live stream the Alaska legislators down there in Anchorage. They're supposed to be having a town hall for all constituents, and currently their Facebook Live is not up and running. I don't know if this is intentional or not, but it is definitely not happening at the moment on my screen. I am trying to get them to, or I keep refreshing, hoping that I'll be able to get it to pull up and find their actual meeting that is supposed to be happening today. But so far, nothing is coming through. They had a live stream up just a few minutes ago, I would say about 15 minutes before the 2 o'clock hour when this was all supposed to begin. And miraculously, as when it comes to everything down there in Juneau, that completely stopped working altogether. And well, you guys get the picture. We're just trying to figure things out. Oh, hold on. I got something coming in here. I don't know if I should take this or not, but give me just a second. I'm going to mute myself out here and see. We have lost audio here. Give me just a little bit and figure out what has happened. Somehow the desktop audio has completely disappeared. See if that gets us back our audio. Nope. Boy, come on. I know what's going on. I am so sorry, folks. I feel so bad now.
VSA has been frozen for the last several years, and inflation and rising costs have created an education funding crisis. That is not the time to waste our precious time on pursuing a social war agenda on items that are not tangential to our work. Instead, the time is now to fix the funding shortfall education is experiencing. Second, we have a workforce crisis, and vital state services for our citizens and our business community are suffering as a result. Please prioritize creating a defined benefit retirement option for all of our public employees. I have a pension from another state, and it was enough of an incentive for me to keep working there and unfortunately not follow my wife up to Alaska for 3 lonely years. Defined benefit programs work, and having one here in conjunction with a fully funded public education system will help us attract and retain the best and brightest workforce. I leave you with 3 words to ponder for the rest of your session. Power illuminates character. I hope you can consider these words and attempt to do the people's business. Alaskans do not want culture wars.
Next, we've got David Kohler, and next is Sarah Krug. If you want to raise your hand so I can. Okay, great.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say strong communities need strong public education in order to establish and maintain a stable, quality workforce. Now, my family's personal story reaches back 30 years when my wife and I, both special education teachers, were making the decision to move to Alaska. As most people do when they decide to move, we looked first at Alaska's salary and benefit package. Other issues such as housing, childcare, and overall recreational and other opportunities, while they were important, they took a second seat to the salary and benefits package. The package at that time provided us with the opportunity to move to, teach, and stay in Alaska. If it were not for that benefits package, I seriously doubt we would have been able to stay. Since then, one of the things I've done, this is in the late 1990s, I was assisting with hiring special education teachers at a high school here. When we started, we would typically have 5 or 6 applications for every opening to go through. That shifted to hoping we had 1 or 2. That shifted to hoping we had any. And talking to my friends who continue to work in the school say, it's gotten worse since then. Issues regarding recruiting and retaining teachers has been studied several times over the years. I was on one statewide committee in the early 2000s. I knew there was one before then, and I know there's been at least one since then. So please, no more committees and task force to admire the problem. Whether benefits package or the BSA, the idea that it will take 2 years to accomplish what we have known was coming for years is absurd. The time to act is now. Without a strong package, including competitive salaries, robust medical benefits, and a defined retirement plan, okay.
And I will say we have written testimony forms on the sign-up sheet outside. So if you wanted to write down your testimony, you can whenever this session is out, you can write down your testimony. Or as I'm waiting for the current person testifying, you can feel free to raise your hand and flag me down, and I can bring the clipboard over to you and you can sign up.
Did you know disabilities are the only minority group that any of us can become a part of at any time? Anyone who might experience an accident, illness, genetic difference, or the effects of aging. These are our children, parents, family, friends, neighbors, coworkers. These people are a part of our community. These people matter. We all have a personal stake in the disability community. Hi. I'm 17 years old and has
Not me
cerebral
this
palsy.
time.
He uses a power wheelchair to move and an iPad to communicate. He requires assistance with almost everything just to survive. My son requires an institutional level of care. With the help of care providers, he has the support he needs to thrive. Care provider jobs require a lot of hard work, physically, mentally, and emotionally. These are low-paid jobs with high turnover rates, but paid care providers are essential to the infrastructure of our society. Lack of care providers put an excessive burden on families. I need to support my family, but the inconsistency of care makes it impossible to work enough. Zachary needs a consistent and quality care provider, and right now that's me, his mom. Allowing family members to be paid care providers creates financial sustainabilities for families like mine and keeps people like Zachary out of expensive institutions and in the homes and communities. Let's make Alaska's care system work better for everyone. Together, we can reduce overall costs of care and increase quality of life for Alaskans with disabilities. Please support our care providers. They support our most vulnerable Alaskans. Thank you for your time.
And with 7 seconds to spare, Rebecca Reese. Oh, right next door. And if folks could please state their district if you know it, as you start your testimony, that would be very helpful.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Rice, and I'm a caregiver by profession here in Anchorage, Alaska. First, I want to thank you for the funds that were appropriated last year, and also for taking the time to listen to my fellow caregiving sisters bringing their issues before you today. We are here today to talk to you about the importance of family continuing to be paid to care for their own. To provide quality care, there is a dire need for connection and relationship. Already, there is a lack of providers as it is. As a single mother, I found it extremely or almost impossible to provide for our most basic needs, despite being available 7 days a week. After drastic pay and hour reductions, we had become homeless. Don't worry, last week that changed. Woo-hoo. I love being in this field and would like this to be my career. So this is my fight to stay here.
And next we have Caroline Storm.
Hello, my name is Caroline Storm, District 10. I'm a registered architect, a small business owner, and a volunteer with Gray Alaska Schools. Senators and representatives, thank you for being here today to hear from your constituents. Thanks, Representative McKay, for wearing red to show your support for education. Those in the education committees have heard a lot of compelling professional testimony from the experts in the field of public education over the last month. That testimony clearly indicates that we are harming our children and teachers by continuing to flat fund our public education system. I will not repeat any of that testimony, but instead entreat you to do what we know is right, and that is to raise the base student allocation this session so that we can develop our workforce and attract the people to our state that we desperately need in order to leverage the infrastructure development funds that are available to us. Alaska cannot prosper without a robust and stable public education system. There is a disturbing lie being perpetuated in the Capitol right now, and most recently on the House floor, and that is that for every teacher there are 5 administrators. This is a wildly and willingly false statement, and it's unfortunate that those saying it feel no shame. According to the Department of Education and Early Childhood Development, since 2002, public school districts spend 73 to 75% of their total budget on instruction. ASD spends only 1% on direct administration. Those perpetuating the lie seem to think that teachers should be able to just show up and teach with no support at all. They are also choosing to label instructional support as administrators, and this is inaccurate. In order for a teacher to show up and teach our students, they do actually need a broad range of support systems and resources. Just like you, legislators, have on average of 3 aides, and then there are the clerks, pages, security, and a huge staff in various other departments in order for you to show up every day and do your job. By my rough count, I'll stop. Please raise the BSA this session.
And next is Polly Carr, and after her will be Ivan Hodes.
Hi there. I live in District 11, and I'm here to speak in support of investing in education. I've lived in Anchorage for 25 years, and I'm a mother to a student at Denali Montessori. From 2011 to 2022, the base student allocation has increased by less than 5%. Our classrooms are overflowing. The Anchorage School District has just decided to reduce our full-time teacher allocation from 15 to 14, which will result in even fewer teachers at our schools because they don't have sufficient funding. And while my student is in Anchorage, I'm here to advocate for all our schools. We have more than 1,000 open positions across the state. Teachers leave because they don't have support or resources, and yet we expect them to keep doing what they're doing with less and less through a pandemic and increased costs. We're in a downward spiral. This is a state issue. It's not a school district by school district issue. And we need leadership from our state legislators and governor. Students are struggling, families are struggling, our economy is struggling, and this is all compounded by the pandemic and inflation. I want us to have Great Alaska Schools. I'm a volunteer with Great Alaska Schools, and I believe we should cultivate the full brilliance of all Alaska children. So I ask that you please increase the base student allocation during this legislative session. This is the #1 crisis facing our state, and no less than what's been proposed in House Bill 65. Thank you so much for being here today and providing this opportunity.
And next is Ivan Hodes, and after him is Mike Grusher, apologies. And if Mike, if you want to wave at me so I know where I'm going next.
Hi, my name is Ivan Hodes. I'm a resident of District 15, Representative McKay. So I'd like to start by voicing my support as well, adding my support for an increase to BSA and for defined benefits. But I'm mostly here to address the stain on the dignity of this legislature and of my alma mater, that is Representative David Eastman. I don't need to go into all the details about all the stuff that he's done, but just to summarize, he's been censured twice. He's been removed from committees twice. He's been found guilty of a violation of the Legislative Ethics Act once. Clearly, and while I do support censure, that is clearly inadequate. You, as a legislator, as the House, are vested with the authority to determine the eligibility of your members. You are also, all of you, and I mean all of you in both caucuses, you're enabling him by giving him the platform that he uses to make all of these remarks. So I'd like to ask each member of the House who's here today, are you willing to expel David Eastman? And if you're not willing to do that, will you at least take away the position on the powerful House Judiciary Committee, which he is not entitled to because he's not a member of the caucus? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Grunst. I'm a District 20, and my comments are my own and do not represent the Department of Defense, the U.S. Army, or the National Guard. And I want to thank Laddie Shaw for showing up with his red hair, proving his commitment to fully funding education. I've known Laddie a day or two. I am a special interest. I am a resident of the state of Alaska. I'm a special interest. I have two children who are enrolled in the Anchorage School District. And I'm a special interest because I own a small business in the state of Alaska. I've lived in Alaska since the early 1980s. I have to say 19, I guess now. I graduated despite my worst efforts from the Anchorage School District, and I'm proud of my children who are attending school here in 6th grade and in 3rd grade. I'm going to call out us in the audience. It's time for us as Alaskans to step up and take responsibility for the direction we want our state to go. We are the lowest taxed state in the nation. We as individuals pay nothing for the services we receive from the state. And now is the time for us to step forward and take charge. I understand that it is scary to touch the 3rd rail of politics and talk taxes, or the 4th rail of politics and talk the PFD. But that is what we elected you for, to make these hard decisions. We can no longer continue to cut state services and reasonably expect to have a livable state. We're seeing a net migration of people fleeing the state, critically the 24 to 48-year-old age group. We need to integrate the school districts in the university system so that they can mutually support one another. We need to forward fund education so that administrators can plan for and best execute our oil companies' precious tax dollars. We need to talk about the future of our state, which is our children, your children's kids. We need to make sure that our kids can graduate high school and can either continue their education at a university or attend a trade school. We need to make sure that they have jobs, housing available with a future that is desirable. I want to remind everyone that last year we paid a $2 billion bribe to the residents of Alaska, approximately $400 million of which we immediately sent out of the state to the federal government. Thanks, we're a community.
And next we have Bill Herman, and after him we have Irene Bull. Bill, if you want to wave at me. Bill Herman. Oh, great. Get my steps in.
I agree with everything that's been said so far, but I wanted to make up another issue, which is climate change. And our fish, our crab, the ice edge, and our decrease in birds is all pointing to climate change. And then I've been following the AMATS group, which is a transportation planning group between the city and the state. And it's being railroaded by the state. And I would like you to look at DOTPUF a little bit about that. We need to have futuristic planning for a community that's going to be pedestrian friendly, bicycle friendly, more dense population in areas. And we're not even headed that. What we're talking about is a new interchange right south, about a half a mile or a mile south of Abbott, another interchange on the freeway. And I think with our declining population, declining use of cars, we don't need that. And then for climate change, the Green Bank bill, resurrect that, get it going, and have it run by AHFC, not AIDEA. Renewable portfolio standards to increase renewables. I think that's a great target. Let's make it work and make sure it's back in again. Community solar, so a bunch of houses in a community can say, let's all make a solar panel group for our community. Please do that too. And then refund the renewable energy fund that's running out of money this year. And finally, improve the grid, the electric grid. We need to be able to put renewables into our grid and have it respond up and down the rail belt. And I agree. Too big of a PFD. We're big boys and girls now. We can tax ourselves. Let's look for our future.
And after Irene Bull, we have Elston Lofton.
My name is Irene Bull, and I am a candidate running for Anchorage School Board. I want to address you today about the critical issue of public education funding. As we all know, education is the cornerstone of our successful society. It is a pathway of opportunity and progress, and it is the foundation upon which Alaska's future is built. However, despite its fundamental importance, public education funding in many areas is severely lacking. That is why I'm here to advocate for an increase in the base student allocation to support public education funding. The BSA covers the basic necessities required for a quality education. However, in many areas, the current allocation is simply not enough to provide the resources and support that our students need. And that is worrisome because inadequate funding leads to a myriad of issues in our education system. Teachers are overworked and underpaid, classrooms are overcrowded, and resources are scarce. This not only harms our students' education, but also puts our incredible teachers and educators under immense pressure. Increasing the BSA will not only improve the quality of education for our students, but will also provide educators with the necessary resources they need to succeed. With better funding, teachers can receive adequate training and support, classrooms can be modernized and equipped with the latest technology, and our students can receive a well-rounded education that prepares them for a life after school. Increasing the BSA is crucial for the success of our education system and the future of our state. We must prioritize the education of our students by providing them with the necessary resources and support they need to succeed. By doing so, we are investing in their future and our own, ensuring that every student has the opportunity to reach their full potential. Thank you.
And after Elston, we have Sarah Dykstra. So if you want to raise your hand and wave me down.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank you guys for serving. I don't know many people in this room that would want to trade places with you right now. And I am so happy, actually, with the way this session is going. The Senate is organized and started moving quickly. And the House has a great number of freshmen who have formed a caucus that I'm very proud of. They're forward-looking and progressive, I'll say it. Forward-looking, progressive, positive, and they want to build a future for the state. I see great potential in this session. I'm very pleased. Second thing I want to say is I want to add to everybody's support for an increase in the BSA. But the third thing is we can pay for it by getting rid of that $8 a barrel corporate welfare that we have for the oil companies for all the oil that goes through that pipeline. We have no business providing a guarantee for profitability for the largest corporations in the world. And the next thing is, this governor's attorney general is out of control. I want to remind everybody in this room that Mike Dunleavy got elected with 50.3% of the vote. He ran against a divided opposition. And I think he has this impression that he's got a mandate to conduct a culture war. Well, he doesn't. His mandate is to try to get this economy back on track and try to fix the crises in operations that occurred under his watch in his last administration. So please have a word with the governor about that. And finally, I support the expulsion of David Eastman. He's been censured twice. All right. Please do it.
Sarah Dykstra, and after Sarah Dykstra, I've got Celeste Hodge Grouden. Oh, sorry.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Sarah Dykstra. I'm here representing myself, and I'm also here on behalf of Great Alaska Schools. and I have my 4-year-old here with me, so I'm going to be parenting as well. I'm also a member of Growing Alaskan Leaders, which is a statewide organization of parents and caregivers who are working on family-friendly advocacy. And I'm here mostly today to talk about raising the BSA. I've been in education now for 23 years and worked in a variety of states. I've been in Alaska for 10 years, and I'm seeing us in a crisis unlike any we've seen. I work in the area of mental health and behavioral supports in our schools, and we are seeing an unprecedented need, especially at the elementary level, of children who are coming in unprepared. They don't have the learning skills that they need. Their families don't have what they need to put in place to support them. And we've got to do better for these children because they're going to continue through school. We are seeing teachers quit in the middle of this year. We're seeing principals get hurt. We need wraparound supports for these children that includes a comprehensive way for us to support them. And what that means is strong public education and a way for us to plan. I'm at the district level now, and we cannot continue to year after year just not know what we're going to need to put this longevity of supports in place. We need to have a fiscal plan. I also am begging you to please put together a comprehensive fiscal plan for this state. Education is part of that. This is not, I don't run my house by just deciding to spend what I want every year. We have a plan, we have savings, we know what we want to do, and we've got to look at what does the next 10 to 20 years look like in this state, and education's got to be part of this because the children we're talking about now who are in crisis in schools are they going to be the ones who are working and supporting us now going forward. In addition, I also just want to say I'm also part of the Denali Montessori community. We're personally being affected. I know there's a lot of families here today, and I've talked to them about this is about equity for all children. We really need to make sure that all children have access, and I also think David Eastman needs to be out of his legislative seat, so please put that back.
Thank you. Next, I have Celeste Hodge Browden, and if I could remind folks to, if you know your district, please say it before you start your testimony. And after Celeste, I have Ron Meehan.
Hello, everyone. My name is Celeste Hodge Browden, and I am the president and CEO of the Alaska Black Caucus. The Alaska Black Caucus is a nonprofit organization that champions the lives of Black people and the BIPOC community in 4 core areas: health, education, economics, and justice. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. Having read local coverage regarding the legislature's consideration of a much-needed increase to the base student allocation, and having observed a few of the hearings myself, I am grateful this topic has been given the attention it deserves. As we all know, statutory funding for Alaska's public schools has not increased, as we all know, since students walked, biked, or rode to school in August of 2016. The sad reality is this legislative inaction has caused added pressure on our educators, forced key support staff and administrators to do more with less, and shifted $16.9 million worth of funding to the backs of local property owners, including many of us in this room. While the state's financial burden has cumulatively been reduced, let me repeat, Anchorage taxpayers have been asked to bear a greater burden since fiscal year 17. While the state of Alaska has not maintained adequate funding for public education as required by Article 7 of the Alaska Constitution. Members of the Anchorage delegation, your constituents voted for you last fall. The ones that voted for you last fall are pleading with you now. Immediately begin speaking with one voice and advocate relentlessly to bring equity. I heard the word equity earlier. Equity to this unacceptable situation on behalf of all students, families, and homeowners. When detractors reference best scores as justification to continue strangling Alaska's system of education of the resources it desperately needs, please remind them that this is a hollow attack on our educators and the professional staff who support their work. Please remind them that 59% of ASD students are automatically or economically disadvantaged. 59% come from homes in the BIPOC community, and roughly 3 in 10 of Anchorage students in class every day are working through the challenges. Was that the? Oh, okay. Well, there's much more to say, but we appreciate you. We really do appreciate you. And just ask you to do like Nike's brand, just do it.
And after Ron Meehan, I have Kathy Hanson-John. So if you want to give me a little wave. So I know where I'm going.
Thank you. Okay. Hello, members of the Anchorage Caucus, and thank you for hearing from us. My name is Ron Meehan. I'm the Policy and Advocacy Manager for the Food Bank of Alaska. I'm in House District 22 and Senate District K. So as all of you know by now, we are really in a crisis right now, and it's come as a result of a perfect storm of events. There are thousands of Alaskans across the state without the SNAP benefits that they rely on. At the same time, we have historically low levels of TFAP and our federal commodity programs. Our SNAP outreach team is still seeing clients from September and October who applied for benefits and still haven't gotten them. We have hundreds of people from across the state that are calling us that are watering down soup to feed their kids. They're going days without eating, and they're making incredibly difficult decisions. There are more than 92,000 Alaskans that relied on SNAP in 2022. Food Bank of Alaska is working around the clock to advocate on the administrative ways to improve SNAP, get more funding for our federal programs, and to get immediate relief into communities. I do want to acknowledge that the Division of Public Assistance and the Department of Health have recognized this and have taken some steps to reduce their workload, streamline the process for clients, and get through this backlog. They've stopped unnecessarily verifying housing costs, dependent care costs, and utility costs, and they have a waiver right now from the Food and Nutrition Service federally until September 2023 on recertification interviews. What I want to emphasize is that the steps that we're taking right now will not just be in place during this emergency, but permanently to ensure this doesn't happen again. Last Monday, the administration and Department of Health announced $1.68 million for the Food Bank of Alaska and our 3 partner distribution organizations. In that press release, they also announced they would plan to extend the recertification period from 6 months to 12 months for all households by July. Our immediate priority is to get food into communities and into the hands of the people that need it. The greatest challenge right now, I will say Megan and myself will be around to answer questions.
Next, I have Kathy Hanson-Johns, and after her, I have Chris Sanders.
Hi, I'm Kathy Hanson-Johnston, and I'm here from, can you hear me? Senate District F, Kaufman and Salome. And I'm here because I want to support Senate Bill 14, the Early Retirement Incentive Program. I'm a state employee. I've been a state employee for 27 years. Thank you to Senator Elvie Gray Jackson for co-sponsoring the bill. This bill would allow state employees who have worked for a long time and have higher salaries to essentially buy out 3 years early and pave the way for younger, lower paid employees to raise up to the ranks. It should have bipartisan support if it saves Alaska money and frees up money for other important issues that we're all here talking about today. We don't have to worry in the bill as it's written with the concern about brain drain, because if passed as written, it would allow each individual state department head to decide whether and who of their employees could participate in the program. So I do support that. I'm also here on behalf of a dear friend, Maria Schauback, who's also in Senator Kaufman's district and also has 20 years of service as an employee and supports the bill. And we just hope that the Democrats and Republicans can come together on this one and save some money and use it for other better programs. Thank you.
And next I have Chris Sanders, and after her I have Teresa Siren. You want to give me a wave? I think we've run out of time for this session block. I want where my counterpart Corey Alt over here in the white shirt has written testimony forms. If you didn't get a chance to give verbal testimony today, please fill out one of those, or as we swap, feel free to talk to your elected representative out in the atrium. I'm afraid we will just be switching to the other set of representatives, but folks will be out in the atrium.
So now we'll do the swap as described. So if you've been, yep. So if you want to meet with the representatives and senators that have been up here individually, we'll be out there in the lobby. If you want to stay here to present to the ones that are coming in, stay here.
And we will be swapping out, so other representatives and senators will be.
Alrighty, so down in Juneau, we've got gavels to get things started, but you guys are just going to have to listen to me. Thank you for everybody that's come to join us up here on the stage. So we're switching this format up, so we've got multiple opportunities for testimony. So thank you, everyone, for signing up for giving verbal testimony today. Thank you so much for doing that. There's an opportunity for written testimony. There's forms going around the room. There's opportunities to do that out in the lobby as well. If you gave verbal testimony, if you were going to, please feel free also to write it down. There's also an online link to be able to do that. So there's lots of ways to hear from you, even if we don't get through everybody today, but we will do our best. So thank you very much. And who's my timekeeper now? Is Max still in here, or we got somebody else? Might be a second before we get our staff support in here. Yes, ma'am. Yes. We're just keeping going. We're just switching out the ears, but we're all listening to you because we're doing the Facebook live stream on this as well. So we've got that opportunity. And like I said, please feel free to supplement your verbal testimony with written testimony as well. So Mackenzie, are we ready to get going again? You need a break. All right. Oh, good idea. Thank you so much. Again, if you weren't here in the beginning, I'm Donna Mears, House District 21 in South Muldoon.
Hi, I'm Stanley Wright, House District 22, that's Northeast Anchorage.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Genevieve Mina. I represent House District 19, Airport Heights, Mountain View, Western Rush and Jack, the Costco District.
Hi, I'm Andrew Gray. I represent the UMed District. Bill Wachowski, Senator for District K, East Anchorage.
Hi, good afternoon. Senator Kelly Merrick. I represent Chugiak Eagle River.
Hi, Zach Fields, House District 17, downtown.
Hi, Forrest Dunbar, District J, that's Mountain View, Airport Heights, Western, Rush and Jack, and UMed. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cliff Grow. I'm lucky enough to represent House District 18, which includes all of Government Hill, all of Jay Bear, and parts of downtown Mountain View, Fairview, and North Muldoon.
Thank you, and thank you, legislators, for keeping your intros brief because we are here for you guys. So here we go. Next on the list.
Starting with Nancy Bale, if you want to give me a wave. And then next is Caitlin Poindexter, if you want. Great. And a reminder for those folks who weren't in the last sessions, please, if you can remember to state your districts before you start your testimony.
Good afternoon. Thanks for being here. My name's Nancy Bale, and I'm a school nurse. And I'm in District 20 where I live, which is the great Zach Fields and Loki Tobin. And I work in District 19 at Whaley School, and that's Genevieve Mina and Forrest Dunbar. Thank you for your service. And also a shout out historically to my longtime legislator, Harriet Drummond. All of you are really strong advocates of education, so I'm hoping that you'll influence your fellow legislators. As you know, ASD, the Anchorage School District, recognized this fall that they were in funding crisis. And one of the things they did was to propose closing of 5 schools. I attended most of the meetings considering these closures and was relieved that ASD found a way with some leftover COVID money and this and that to limp into next year with only 1 closure. Nevertheless, without assurances from Juneau, ASD is going to keep on making these draconian cuts. Here's an anecdote from one of those meetings. 2 of the senators here today asked ASD if the legislature could come quickly up with a commitment to a BSA fix. Would this influence the ASD budgeting process? And then they wouldn't make so many cuts. I was glad to hear a willingness from those legislators to put in a quick fix. But guys, the clock is ticking. It's very important that you not wait till April 30th until you have a completely comprehensive fix to everything before you fix the BSA, or at least send a strong signal that this is foremost and primary in your mind. Thank
you. And after Caitlin Poindexter, I have Shannone Tejada. Great.
Good afternoon. My name is Caitlin Poindexter, and I am in House District 15. I'm here today because I thought about being a teacher for years, and actually took the Learner in the Learning Process class through UAS online when I lived in Bethel. And I went to a 1-hour art class, and I had to do a lesson plan for that. And that lesson plan was 18 pages for a 1-hour art class to meet all the state standards and substandards. That's outrageous. I'm a creative person. I like children. I think I would be great in the classroom. I have a master's degree in College Student Services Administration. So I've seen what went wrong when people failed children in the K-12 system when they get to college and can't read and write and are in developmental classes. I would beg you, what I haven't heard today, is to get into the schools that you serve, in the districts that you serve, and bring your school board members along with you. Sorry, I'm just calling you out because I see you. But no, and see, because we have over 4,800, right, around there in the Anchorage School District. We have one of the most diverse school districts in the country, right? So you cannot do a one-size-fits-all model for our district. And so I want you to get into the schools and see what each individual problem and solution is in the different schools that we serve, right? We are Alaskans. This is something to be excited about. We are small. We are the largest state in the country, but we are by far the smallest population. We have like 731,000 people in our state. So I begged, I was down in Juneau a couple weeks ago, so I see some of you recognize me, I'm excited. So I begged you, I was saying in those sessions, please, we are neighbors. We know each other. I probably know each one of you through somebody that I know. So I'm asking you, I have young children. I have twin daughters who are in 1st grade. I love their school, Denali Montessori. I was told in an emergency PTSA meeting this week that one of our teachers is going to be cut. And basically the building supervisor, who's the principal, is supposed to decide who goes. I feel like that's like setting up an episode of Survivor. Like who's getting voted off the island. But these people are family, and it's unacceptable. Get into the schools and make individual decisions.
And after Shannone, I have Rick Phillips.
Good afternoon. My name is Shannon Tejada, and I'm proud to be a Seawolf. I want to just introduce myself a little bit. I'm a product of public education here in Alaska. I graduated from the ASD, and I'm continuing to receive my education here at UAA. I'm also an educator, and so I coach high school debate, and I hope I'm doing my kids justice. Chloe, Kinsley, Andorra, Kyla, Zoe, this is for you. I tried to tell them to be here today, but their parents wouldn't let them because they have schoolwork. But I just wanted to, ask you to look around this room. We have educators here from the university, from the Anchorage School District, individuals that are the most critical and important stakeholders in our system. Your jobs as legislators are to protect our democracy and to grow our economy. And that all starts with education. Look around this room. We have educators, we have students, we have folks who have been retired from the public system. This is what we need. We need to fund public education from all levels, especially K through 12. We need our students to be prepared when they enter the university system, and that begins here in this room. That begins, at the public K through 12 education level. So just to close, when you're sitting in your offices, when you're sitting through committee meetings, when you're sitting here in legislative town halls, remember this: centuries of the past are looking down upon you. Generations of the future are calling upon you. Fund our public education system. Thank you.
Next, I have Rick Phillip, and after that, I have Janelle Walton. Janelle, if you want to give me a wave.
Hi, Rick Phillips, District 22. I'll probably repeat a lot of things people said, but education, we should raise the BSA. Retirement for the teachers, police, fire, etc. Do not cut funding for the university. We should have free college scholarships for students to keep them in the state. I think that we should have some kind of state-run daycare system so parents have some place to take their children. Also, don't cut bus routes. We need more bus routes because I see people going from Muldoon taking a taxi cab to buy their groceries. We need more bus routes, and it should be free. A lot of cities are going to free. I have a lot more on the list, but our state economy is rated 50th in most categories. And I heard one solution to help would be to get rid of that $8 tax break for the oil companies. Another unpopular thing I was talking to my wife about is over the last 5 years, the permanent fund has paid out $5 billion. We could take $1 billion of that a year, put it for schools and things to help the state. There's a lot more on my list. I think that people on public assistance should be able to work for a year without taking away their public assistance. I think that they should have drug tests, not to take away their assistance, but to put them on a drug plan.
Next, I have Janelle Walton, and after Janelle Walton, I have Becky Harrison. Great, thanks.
Hi, my name is Janelle Walton. I'm from District 17I from Fairview. I want to talk about two priorities I have for Anchorage. First is the homelessness issue coming from Fairview. And second is the education issue. First, more regular shelters so that we're not doing this pop-up thing every single winter. And we need to fund shelters that can be a regular option for houseless. But the two biggest issues that we really need help with is this drug and alcohol treatment beds and mental health beds. We're having problems with people who are getting 86 out of these homeless shelters. If their bar is so high that they have to 86 someone out, what happens then? Do we wait until they're on the street and they potentially stab someone at the LUSAC when they should be in a bed getting help? And so we really need some more beds in that respect. That gap needs to be filled. Also, I'm here, like many people, here to talk about education. A lot of us have been talking about that. I teach English at the high school level, but I want to talk to you about math. I'm in the middle of grading essays right now, and if I give a 500-word essay to 100 students, which is not, I still have more than that, I'm giving myself about 50,000 words to read. And it's not just reading that. I have to comment on, correct, evaluate, enter into the grading system. If I take 15 minutes per essay, then each essay assigned takes me 25 hours to grade. That's just one. And I only get 4 hours and 15 minutes of planning every day to do all of that. And that's for everything, going to IEP meetings, etc., not just grading that one essay. So that's 25 hours of work that I take home in order to give a timely feedback to our students. That's insane. I mean, I calculated our students get 8 minutes of time one-on-one with me per week. That's a week. And that's just, they deserve so much more than that. And at that point, we're just acting as crowd control. We're not able to educate at that juncture. So please, 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 please do something about the funding on the BSA. We can't do this any longer. And please get rid of David Eastman. He's got to go. Thanks.
And after Becky Harrison, I have Dean Saida. Becky, if you could raise your hand again, thank you.
Thank you. I'm Becky Harrison Drake, and I've been teaching for 34 years. And I just want to say, I'm in District 21. I gotta use my teacher voice. All right, that I know. This I don't know. I could just go like that. Okay, so the research, and I know you know this, but I'm going to say it out loud again, is that it reduces poverty in the long run. It retires economy in the long run. It decreases violent acts in the long run. It decreases our prison population in the long run, and it decreases state money that is spent for schools that spent after high school for prison, police, and social services. What you spend now, K-12, is going to benefit us. You have to stop looking at just today and know that we are looking for 10 years in the future. Wallet Hub ranked us as the 49th state for education. One state away from last. We do not want to be the red lantern state. They ranked it in for math and reading. And actually, it's a really good one because they started with 33 different metric systems. So 33 is a really big number to try and rank your how well your students are doing. And they did it for quality and safety. So math and reading scores, median SAT scores. The third thing they ranked us for, student-teacher ratios. When you don't raise the BSA, our student-teacher ratio goes up. The 5 top states are Massachusetts. Their average is 12 to 1. 12 students to 1. Second is Connecticut, 12 to 1. New Jersey, 12 to 1. Virginia's fourth with 14 to 1. Vermont is 10 to 1. The lowest ranking schools are 23 and above. Arizona, Alabama, Louisiana, Alaska. I'm asking you to do what you've asked for educators. Do more with less, do better.
And after Dean Saida, I have Claire LeClaire.
Dean said the case. Why is this? We cannot retain public employees. Our police and teachers leave. Why is this? It's because they cannot earn a retirement here. Our children are leaving. Why is this? It is because the quality of life is better elsewhere and the education systems are better elsewhere. The solutions: address public employees' pension immediately this session. That's number one. Number two, we have to budget at cost. We have failed to keep up with the actual cost of doing business in this state for at least the past 5 to 10 years. That, in effect, is a budget cut, even if the numbers are the same. The solution is going to be unpopular, but I am here to tell you, you will not lose my vote for doing the right thing. We cannot afford a $3,800 dividend. It's $2.5 billion. Governor's budget is $13.8 billion, including the dividend, and that still has a $260 million deficit in it. Cut that dividend to something reasonable, $2,000. That puts $1.25 billion on the table. You've got $1 billion to play with. You can use that to fund education. You can use that to fund infrastructure. You can use that to fund pensions. And you're not going to lose my vote for cutting the dividend. The permanent fund was created to fund state government, not give people a cash windfall. Thank you.
And after Claire LeClaire, I have Christy Wood. Christy Wood.
Thank you. I'm here on behalf of the Chugach State Park Citizens Advisory Board. 15 volunteers who meet regularly to advise park staff and advocate for the park. Collectively, we're requesting an increase in the Chugach State Park operating budget to respond to the dramatic increase. They are not available for state services such as education and social services. It's a modest increase we're asking, $350,000. Chugach State Park is the third largest state park in the country and the most visited park in Alaska, with 2 times more visits than Denali National Park, working on 1/10 of the staff. Since 2019, the park has made more in fees than the park's operating budget. So there's a net revenue from Chugach State Park. This park is important for our physical and mental health, and also for our community's economy. Thank you very much. If I have 1 second, I'm going to speak personally on behalf of myself, and I'm Representative Fields and Senator Tobin are my representatives, and I fully support an increase in the BSA. Thank you.
And next I have Christy Wood, and after Christy Wood, I have Catherine Alderfer.
Hi, my name is Christy Wood, longtime Anchorage resident. In fact, my husband and I love Anchorage so much, we moved our parents up here. I never thought I'd want to leave, right? And then ASD announced they were going to have plans to possibly close my neighborhood school, which is in Napa Valley. My first thought was a selfish thought. What happens to the value of my home? What happens to the values of homes in the other neighborhoods if those other neighborhood schools close? Sounded like a little bit of a spiral to me. In the end, ASD was able to keep those schools open, most of them, thank goodness. But during that process, I learned about the out-migration. 30% of our working age people left in recent years. Now I have to question, are my parents going to have the skilled nursing support that they're going to need as they continue to age? What about me? Suddenly, Anchorage isn't sounding like the perfect place to live that I always thought that it was. There's long-term consequences to the decisions that your body makes. You know that. You're smart people. Is this out-migration maybe consequences to the decisions that your predecessors made? That we've been flat funding the BSA for so long? The last 2 years, the governor proposed a $30 increase. That's an insult. We need closer to $1,200, $1,300 just to keep up with inflation. So this investment, like the
Next I have Catherine Alderfer, and after I have Jason Lassard. Jason, if you want to give me a wave.
Hi, my name is Catherine Alderfer. I have lived in Alaska in Anchorage for 7 years now. This is my 6th year with the Anchorage School District. 4th year as a classroom teacher. I honestly am kind of scared for the future of our education, even though I'm kind of new into the district, coming into what seems kind of like a catastrophe unfolding. I feel like, please, I'm just begging you on behalf of teachers, we really need to address this situation before it gets even more scary for the rest of us. Our class sizes are too big. We need this money, the BSA, to be raised. It is crucial for our future. I really am passionate about my career. I love children. I want to stay in a lot.
Hi there. First of all, thank you for coming to Anchorage to meet with your constituents. Really appreciate you taking the time to do this on such a fun-filled weekend, beautiful weather. My name is Jason Lassard. I live in 14G. I am here today speaking as a mental health advocate. There is a bill put forth by Senator Gray Jackson, SB 24, which would help to create some standards for mental health education in our schools. It's a bill we've been trying to pass for a number of years. It's another important component of youth education. Our numbers, if you look at any of the numbers coming out of Alaska, the youth risk behavior survey and so on and so forth, we are trending in the wrong direction in suicide in our youth, in youth needing mental health services. This bill would not create a curriculum. It would not be shoving anything down any school district's throat. It would simply be creating safe standards and guideline hearings coming up. Really appreciate your support. It's another terribly important thing for our youth these days. Additionally, I just wanted to say, and I'm not trying to call out a fellow citizen, but the stabbing at the Lusac was brought up. And I just want to say, people that suffer from mental health conditions are statistically more likely the victim. They're not violent. Please do not let these types of stories drive what you do to help these people in our community. We need more support. We've had support at API. We need care in our communities. We need more than just the crisis support that has been taking all of the attention. We need patient treatment. We need inpatient treatment. And please consider these bills, consider what it means to your constituents and our population and the health of our communities. Thank you.
And next I have Suzanne Fleet Green. Has been said in this room, I absolutely agree with. I grew up in Anchorage, mostly in Anchorage. I've lived in urban and rural Alaska, but mostly did my school years here. And actually, some of my former teachers are here who I know have been retired for a long time. So it says a lot that they showed up. And I want to honor them, but I want to honor every teacher in this room and the administrative support and the principals and the nurses and the counselors. Because we had good schools and we had good programs. And it really saddens me right now to hear comments from teachers who don't think they made the best choice, because we're an amazing state and community. And let's stop thinking about ourselves and what we need and our generation. We need to think about what the next generation and the next generation and the next generation thinks. And we're not going to be able to attract good teachers and good workers and good residents of this state unless we invest in our schools. What else are we spending money on right now? That's our best possible investment. My two kids are about to finish up school here, so I could walk away and not worry about it, but I worry about it every day. And I hope that you as legislators are doing the same. Quickly pivoting.
Thank you for being here today. I have lived in Alaska all my life, born and raised, and I've been a teacher for 30 years in the public and private schools. And I also would like to talk about equity for children, including the most vulnerable of children, the unborn. They received a sort of emancipation proclamation when Roe v. Wade was overturned, recognizing that there's the Life at Conception Act, which all I've heard today is to try to remove the sponsor of that act. I think that's what's behind that whole orchestrated movement. But we have to do better for those little children. None of the things we're talking about today are going to help children who never see the light of day and whose life is deliberately ended in their own mother's wombs. No woman is ever helped by killing her child. And even there is no medical reason for direct abortion. No reason ever. And yet we fund ability. You know, I would ask each of you to pledge to step up our fight for the protection of unborn children.
Next, I have Stu Greiner. Thank you.
People from all over the world coming to see Alaska with their pickup trucks and RVs, and people going fishing on the Kenai from the valley to end up with a cop getting shot and so many break-ins, and people sitting on our porches that thought no concept of private property. I don't know what that letter said. I'm on the Northeast Community Council. We're working on a resolution now requesting that the homeless camp not get established again, outdoor homeless camp in that area. If I could see that letter, that might help us write a resolution. You had some pixie dust on that. It got results. So I thank everybody from the bottom of my heart for doing that letter. You have the mayor's ear. We do not seem to have it at council level. Also, I hear all this about the funding for schools. Guys, I listen to all the stations on the radio. I do not hear the statements that are said on AM talk radio regarding public education addressed at the council or in this room. There's a lot of people that seem to not want to have their kids in public education. And I think they're getting some really crazy ideas from right-wing talk radio. That needs to be addressed because there are people, I have kids in my condo association, they never go to school. Okay, thank you.
Next, I have Sean Hayes, and after Sean Hayes, I have Rob Seeley. Rob Seeley.
Hi, my name is Sean Hayes. I live in District number 17. I am the founder and executive director of Henny Incorporated. We currently provide most of the shelter and supportive services for people experiencing homelessness in Anchorage. Real briefly, our organization is peer-led, meaning that most, if not all, including myself and several people on the board, have been homeless, and they have been in addiction and have had behavioral health and have made it out. And that's what our organization is founded on, is the belief that everybody can recover with the proper support. Since operating the Sullivan Arena in October, we have permanently housed 35 people. We have had 13 people successfully complete treatment, and we have employed 22 people who used to live at the Sullivan Arena and are now working at the Sullivan Arena. in our janitorial team, in our food services program. So we're here to tell you that recovery is possible with the proper support. The reason why I'm speaking up today is because, just like other folks have said, we have this, 3 months, 6 months extensions, and, we're at the mercy of people getting along, people coming to an agreement on what the next steps are. The Sullivan Arena is a completely inappropriate place for people to live in or to provide shelter in. We need an appropriate shelter. We need one. We have ones that are already zoned and, concrete poured. But now because, and I don't know what it is, right? Do we not, what one political party don't want the other political party to have a win? Well, I'll tell you who loses in that. It's the people who need our help. So we need an appropriate shelter. We need more behavioral health services, and we need treatment. Thank you.
Next, I have Rob Feely, and after Rob Feely, I have Barb Clark.
Thank you. My name is Rob C. I believe I'm District 9. I can remember something like that. I don't even know what that means, to be honest with you. But I stand here as a person in long-term recovery. Recently, I just celebrated 5 years of continuous sobriety. Thank you. I was also awarded the 2023 or 22 Sober Hero from Recover Alaska. I'm here because I'm here to, along with Sean, representing the people that we serve, the underprivileged, people who are experiencing housing insecurities. I come from that myself. I've survived every abuse you could think of. You can imagine. I want to thank Stanley Wright for encouraging me to come up and share a little piece of my story. And I've gotten to know him in the last year. And I just appreciate this audience. I appreciate the opportunity to share. I started my experience as a peer support specialist with CITC 3 years ago. And since then, I was recruited by the municipality of Anchorage in this COVID response to stand up several hotels as shelters. So I've got to work with everybody that's in this response, from providers to assembly members to coalitions. And there's not a shortage of jobs for myself right now. I chose to work with Henning Inc. because we are peer-led, because it takes somebody that's been there before, that knows how to transition from a hopeless situation into a place where you are contributing to society. We see the people at Sullivan Arena as a future workforce development. There's a shortage in workers, but we've got them. We just need the support. We need the support from our city, from our state. We need the support that's already started. We do have a facility that has been started. We just need continual support right now, and we need you to come talk to the people, the peers that have been there, the ones that are working on the ground, not the service providers that have been always doing it. We invite you to come have a conversation with us. Thanks.
Next, I have Barb Clark, and after Barb Clark, I have Khalees Houchins.
Hi, I'm Barb Clark, Senate H and House 21. I take as my text today Alaska State Statute AS 14.03.015. It is the policy of the state that it is the purpose of education to help ensure that all students will succeed in their education and work, shape worthwhile and satisfying lives for themselves, exemplify the best values of society, and be effective in improving the character and quality of the world around them. And I know you all could have recited that along with me. I actually teach West Side. I teach at West High. And I've been there 23 years. And I've seen a lot of changes in those 23 years. And honestly, most of them not good. I've seen graduation support coaches leave. I've seen my colleagues. I don't have any prepared notes because I wasn't going to talk today. I was going to show up in the red shirt. And then yesterday, or Friday, as at the end of the school day, one of my colleagues came to me and he said, I just want to let you know, I put in my papers and I won't be here next year. Wonderful young, to me, he's young. He's probably in his mid-40s. Wonderful young man who should have had another 20 years teaching in the Anchorage School District. And he's just done. He's done with the politics. He's done with the funding. He's done with not knowing how he's going to retire. He's just done. And that man is irreplaceable. And I truly mean irreplaceable. They'll hire somebody to fill his seat. They will. But he's gifted. Kids like him. Colleagues love him. He's the kind of guy you'd send a kid and say, you know what? You should go talk to Mr. C. He can help you out. Dang. Okay. Oh, no, David Eastman.
Next, I have Khalees, and after Khalees, I have Rosalind Grady White.
Can y'all hear me? Okay, word. My name is Khalees Houchins. I'm 21. I think I'm honestly one of the youngest people here. Excited to be here. I've heard a lot about education. Thank you. And I am an advocate for it, but everyone here knows way more than me, so I'll keep y'all on the floor. I would like to talk about the fact that Anchorage is not the most walkable city. I am somebody who does not have a car. I'm currently saving up for my first car. It is very difficult, as you can imagine, with this economy. But it is really difficult to get around when you're constantly having to pay for Ubers that are really expensive, trying to find a ride here and there. I was struggling to find a ride here, you know? It's really difficult. And the fact, like, you could just see it walking around. Think of in the winter right now how many sidewalks are missing. Think of the sidewalks you don't see when there's no snow. It is really hard to get around when you're somebody in any position who is struggling without a car. It sucks that you even have to, like, think about that you need a car, but it's just something very difficult that a lot of people, not just myself, deal with. And while I'm not versed in the zonings, I have been doing some research lately, and I learned that there's so many laws that keep you from building certain housing. So there's like certain things that make you only build single family housing, which cuts out multiple facet, I don't know the word for it, but like basically different kinds of like construction, right? And it blocks things like multi-family housing, which means you can't build certain roads in certain areas because it's a suburbia, all these different things. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but in consensus, if you guys could do your best on that, that would be very helpful, not only for me as someone who would like to build a life in Anchorage and keep going, but plenty of people that I know and more people who will be growing up as well, affecting every single age. I don't want to talk too long, but I would like to say a massive thank you to all of you. Some of you I've met. What up, Forrest Dunbar? He's cool. Some of you I would like to meet. And it's really cool to be involved in this. And I thank you very much for your time.
Next, I have Rosalind Grady White, and after her, I have Selene Reyes. Selene?
Hello, how are you guys doing? My name is Rosalind Grady White. Forrest represents me. Genevieve represents me. I represent Mountain View. I also represent Mountain View Elementary School. I represent single Black parents. I have 5 kids of my own. Several things. Let's start. Please support Senator L.V. Gray Jackson and Senate Bill 22. This would support Juneteenth, making it a state paid holiday, especially since it's already passed at a municipal level. Other things that I would like to talk about, among things, raise the BSA. Again, I am an educator, but I'm also about to be a certified educator at the end of the year in special education, which is one of the biggest, most important area, especially for Anchorage and Anchorage School District. Please, let's get UAA back up where we can build our own teachers. I currently have to go to school out of town, online, obviously, but the barriers that are in place in me being certified by this spring has been extended to the fall. So we need to get that in order so that we can continue to build our own educators. We need to support quality education. In order to support quality education, we have to stop allowing East Side teachers and probably everywhere else. I'm on the East, Mountain View represent, but we have 20 plus kids in our classrooms for one teacher. So I can't begin to explain how I'm not just an educator. I am a counselor. I am a security guard. I am a parent to other students. And even if, they're all my babies, the whole entire school. So we need to bring that back. We need to support our paraprofessionals. We have paraprofessionals. Sorry, y'all, but I'll send you a letter. Y'all know me.
Hello. Next, I have Selene Reyes, and you're okay. And after her, I have Megan James. Hello, thank you, representatives and senators that came here today. I recognize you. Ms. Reese. My name is Selene Anguson Reyes. I currently live in Anchorage, but was raised in Dillingham, Alaska. I'm a general contractor here in Anchorage, but also I'm a full-time caregiver for my father, who has had a very serious stroke and traumatic brain injury 9 years ago. My mother and father, who lived in Dillingham, were uprooted from their home after my father had his stroke. There isn't adequate care in Dillingham for him, so their whole life was changed in a matter of one day. Being a close family, my siblings and I rallied together and took turns caring for my father. For the last 3 years, I've had the pleasure to care for him. I love what I do. I wouldn't change anything but to see my father walk again. So I really appreciate the ability for family members to care for their family and to be compensated. My business is very important to me, but my father having the best care is more important. My business has been impacted because the hours I care for my dad is also during crucial business hours for construction. Alaska already suffers for a lack of caregivers, and I think it's really important to protect the ones receiving care from family members and who prefer to get care from their loved ones in their home and in their preferred environment. Thank you for coming today and listening to the voice of many who care for Alaska's most vulnerable. Now I have Megan James, and after Megan James, I have April Rochefort.
Hi, my name is Megan James. I'm in District 15, and I'm the SNAP Outreach Manager for the Food Bank of Alaska. And I've been incredibly busy since August when recertification started again. I've read in the media many times that the Division of Public Assistance is reporting applications as being processed through October right now. I have access to that, and I can tell you that is a flat lie. Their September applications, I had over a dozen of them last week. I do outreach at Henning at all the different properties at Henning. I'm actually going to be at Sullivan tomorrow, so I'll see ya. And many of the clients that do not have these benefits are our homeless clients. These clients have experienced massive traumas. They have mental health disabilities. They've had issues beyond what you can imagine. And they don't have a family member that's going to stand up and help take care of them. They don't have a family member that they can go to and sleep on their couch and get a hot meal. They are alone. And our state is failing these people. And it's infuriating to me that there are state employees, and my husband's a state employee, in this building right now asking for pension when we can't even have our entire public fed. And state employees are in charge of that program and they want better benefits. I would like us to try to do our jobs first, and then we can talk about benefits.
April Rochefort. And after April, I have Donovan Rusinello. Hi, it's April Rochefort, actually. I'm not that fancy. Very phonetic. Hello, April Rochefort. I live in Bernard. I'm not sure which numbers I am because I just moved there. But I'm with Senator Gray Jackson and Representative Galvin, and he used to be with Zach Fields over there. He's an ally. So last week, I know many of you were visited by some of my fellow volunteers to talk about our concerns about just the rise of gun violence in our communities, and two specific pieces of legislation that we know from other states would help reduce gun deaths. And I know a lot of you were very supportive and sympathetic, but we also heard a lot of this just isn't a priority this session, which I get it. Education is definitely a priority, and yes, raise the BSA. But my question to you when you say that it's not a priority, I just wonder what it is that would make it a priority. Because in other communities, they've waited until something terrible has happened, and then suddenly it's a priority. And right now, we have really bad stats. We have 23% of adults in Alaska self-reporting that they keep a unlocked and loaded firearm in a home with children present. So a secure storage law could help at least part of that percentage go down. So we wouldn't have kids living in homes with unsecure loaded firearms. And a lot of responsible adults they lock it up, no problem. But who's this 23%, right? Would they respond to a law? Some of them will, and that's worth it. The other issue is that we have a really high suicide rate, and many of those suicides are carried out by guns, and they're teenagers. I'm already done. I'll write you a letter. You guys know all this. You know all this, and please prioritize it, okay? Thank you. Next, I have Donovan Rusinello, and after I have Janice Park.
Hello, thank you so much for being here. This is incredible. Not only the turnout, but your guys' attentiveness to all of our issues. I'm going to speak a little bit about our energy mix really quickly. We really need to pass a renewable portfolio standard as the state of Alaska. We have incredible energy prices. I know a number of you have heard from our utility board members recently regarding our current energy mix, the prices that we're paying, and the opportunities available to us in terms of dealing with dwindling gas supply and Cook Inlet, and really figuring out exactly what we're going to do as a state moving forward. I think you can all appreciate the importance that energy has. We're talking a lot about education and houselessness and real issues that impact everybody every single day. Energy is one of those key essential needs when living, a healthy and thriving life. I'm just going to say a few things sort of in response to what the utilities have said. They are telling you guys, they have known since 2008 and 2009 that they are going over this cliff towards an energy shortfall in 2027, and yet they've done nothing. What they're asking you for is another $1 billion plus to try and essentially put in a stopgap, gold plate the transmission system, and make a lot of sort of short-term, non-renewable investments in our state, sending money outside of the state, and really sort of locking us into a long-term plan that's really going to drive up energy prices, which impacts us all on the rail belt, but also all the PCE communities and others that are really dependent on the rates that we pay here in the rail belt. I'll also say we really need to diversify for various reasons, one of them being the volatility of the price of our gas. They stand in front of you and say that it's not that bad that we're paying on average 20 cents per kilowatt hour on the rail belt, at the same time telling you that they have independent power producers coming to them at a quote of 12 cents per kilowatt hour to cover initial capital costs, and saying that they can't stomach that for rates. We really need to dive into exactly what they're saying and think critically not only about the paths available to us, but the investments that we need to make right now that pay dividends for our state. And I'm just going to say a call to action really to everybody here who is sort of nodding along and understands appreciates the importance of low energy prices. We have utility board elections coming up here for all of our utilities on the rail belt, including Chugach Electric. We have an awesome board candidate. She was standing over here. She testified briefly earlier, but please get involved and vote in your utility board elections. Thank you.
Next, I have Janice Park, and after Janice Park, I have Susan Williams.
Hi, I'm Janice Park, District 12, and I'm glad to see all of you here, but I know that a lot of you are the usual suspects, and I know I'm preaching to the choir with many of the people on the dais. I want to talk about investing in our future. Our university has been operating on less money than it had over 10 years ago, and it shows because we have a lack of enrollment and we have students leaving the state. I've heard people talk about the out-migration problem. That has affected my own family. My daughter-in-law was able to get a class at University of Arizona online. She went down to Arizona to work on her master's in mining engineering. She had a clinical where they went out and did samples and so forth out in the desert. Within a month, she was offered an internship at the mine for $37 an hour plus her lodging. That was a little bit hard on my family because she had to go back and forth. Ultimately, she was offered a job for $110,000 a year and has already bought a house for $110,000. She has been offered opportunity that we are not offering here, and that's why our out-migration problem is so bad. We need to invest in the university. I hear people talking about teachers. I hear people talking about home health. And we could be training those people for the future of Alaska, and we are not doing it. We are going to be a failed state if we continue to invest in extractive industry without investing in the people that can support our future. Our kids are not looking for a future as a roustabout. Our kids are looking for a future that that is in the healthcare industry, in teaching, in in jobs that require the training that our university could be giving them, but we are not funding it. In addition to that, I would like to say that we cannot afford to have Nazis sitting in our legislature that opine that the death of a child to abuse is a satisfactory ending that will save our kids. That will save our state money.
Next, I have Susan Williams, and after Susan Williams, I have Dave Carter. And if you didn't get a chance to give verbal testimony, please fill out one of the written testimony forms we have.
Hi, my name is Susan Williams. I'm in District K and 21. And a few issues that I'm wearing red, so I support increased funding for the BSA. But I love democracy, and so I'll share an opposite view of what's been shared. I believe we need to protect a woman's right to choose over their bodies. I believe if we support children, we need to support maternal health and all the resources to support families once babies are born, which we don't do currently. I believe that my defined benefit is being eaten up by medical costs, and we have a crisis for our seniors in relation to Medicare. They can't find providers. We need to find a solution for that. I also believe that we need to support mental health around the state. I have a friend on the Kenai that has a child with schizophrenia, and she cannot get the resources that she needs to support that child. I believe growing up in the 60s, my mother used to always say, finish your plate. There are people starving across the world. Well, flash 50 years later, there are people starving in the state of Alaska. And I think that is criminal in our society. Take away some of my permanent fund that supports my vacation and feed the people in the state of Alaska.
Next, I have Dave Carter, and after Dave, I have Gretchen Stoddard. Gretchen, if you want to give me a wave.
Well, first I want to apologize for my coming a little on the late side of this, but thank you for everyone for hanging around till almost 4 o'clock. I was trying to catch the news reporter on her way out of the meeting, and the journalists often leave before all the information is in. So that's unfortunate. Anyway, I'm Dave Carter. I'm a retired lawyer and Alaska lawyer, and I worked with Bill Wilikowski and a lot of other people in trying to fix our oil fiscal policies. The public may not know, but there's still a free site called alaskasfairshare.com, available to all Alaskans. We all share ownership in Prudhoe Bay. A lot of people don't realize that, part of the statehood compact. And when you go there, you'll say on the page is why are we still talking about this? In 2020, voters decided that the Alaska legislature needed to address reforming our oil tax structure. Now it's time to hold them accountable. Learn more about how this issue and how you can make it happen. People need information and they need to know where to go, and this is a site where they can obtain that information. I'm happy to hang around after the meeting to provide more information. I also have information directly from our revenue sources book, which is our state fiscal policy stuff. We had almost $16 billion in gross value off the North Slope, and last fiscal year we only got about $4 billion of that. That's about 26%. That's a terrible recovery. That's for royalty, production taxes, corporate taxes, and that's everything. 26%, $4 billion, while the value of the oil was almost $16 billion. I'm going to have copies of it right here. It's public information. It's not something that was cooked up in anyone's back room. Thanks very much. I'll hang out after the meeting.
Next, I have Gretchen Stoddard, and next is Gil Stokes.
Thank you. My name is Gretchen Stoddard. I very much appreciate you all being here. I live in South Anchorage in the area of Cascadeville and Lancaster. I have always kind of watched, or not all, I've watched parents all work together to help us because our community needs it. A big part of this state, and there are problems, no matter what side of the spectrum you're on, we got to fix them. And if you guys can work together, it will really. I do support an increase to the BSA, but not wholeheartedly without limit. There are some factors, they've been broken for decades. Those factors that multiply. So how much does Anchorage get per student when we're done? And how does that compare to Philadelphia? I know they're really hard to fix. They were hard to fix when Julie Coulomb and Elise Galvin and myself had toddlers and we're all empty nesters now. They aren't going to get better. They're only going to get worse. You know, it starts with, there's like an Alaska statute that says if you go to Bartlett High, you multiply the BSI times 0.8. I don't think you can fix it this year, but maybe you can at least set the stage to fix it for future years because this thing's only going to get worse. You know, for a long time, I didn't want to talk about it. It's kind of talking about racism, this, that. I think we're beyond that. I mean, Anchorage has, you can't stand in some of our Anchorage schools and say it's racist to talk about fixing these factors. And I know I probably shouldn't be the spokesperson for that, but it's not getting better. You know, at least when we do this BSA increase, what's the per student increase going to be in Matsu? What's it going to be here when we're done? Is there anything you can do? Can we at least start funding a ICER to study these factors so sometime in the future we can fix them? Is there something we can do, like we put it in and 3 to 5 years from now, if it doesn't, you know, if we can't fix it, then we change that statute that says 80%. Thank you. Bye.
Next, I have Gil Stokes, and after Gil, I have Estelle Thompson.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gil Stokes here. I'm from Wrangell originally. I'm going to roll back the hands of time a little bit. What I see here, and what am I going to talk about? Maybe invisible people. Who are the invisible people? We are. Okay? When I say that, I am talking about, well, first of all, everything has been said. It sounds negative what I'm going to say, but it's not. It's only merely a suggestion to open your eyes. And this won't come from the assembly here in Anchorage, but I think it will come from the legislature to look into this. And I'm talking about the senior citizens. Not only the senior citizens, but where they live, their home, their private homes, what do they call it, assistant living, and other things like that. Well, let me go back and let me tell you this. The people who have and run the assistant homes, and the end of the time for them, or for those who go there, they don't tell you anything. When one of my best friends passed away, we didn't know that. When someone is sick, we don't know that. When someone needs help, we don't know that because they say privacy. How can we do that? How can we get closer together? You know, they call us again many times invisible because we are out there no matter where we are. The bus situation, the medical appointments that we have to go to, we have to do that ourselves if you don't drive. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I just got cut off.
Next, I have Estelle Thompson and then Francis McLaughlin, and Francis will be our last testifier.
Hello. Sorry, the mask has got to stay on. I'm sorry. My name is Estelle Thompson, and I am a lifelong Alaska resident. My family has been on these lands and within Alaska for hundreds, if not thousands of generations. So I feel I can speak confidently towards, what I feel as an Alaskan. I appreciate appreciate everyone's testimony, especially those of the teachers, the paraprofessionals, the people who work in schools, because I am the child of teachers. I would be a fourth generation educator if I had stayed within education, as most of my family has done. So I really am strong. I feel strongly about funding the BSA because we absolutely need it. I have children who have gone through Anchorage School District. I've raised 3 children, the oldest which is 28, and my youngest is in high school now. We have a number of different problems that people have spoke eloquently of today, and I really appreciate the testimony because I've spent all of this time listening and hearing many of my thoughts being repeated. So I would like to speak to you just briefly, but I will submit a written testimony. As somebody who works within tribal and government consultations, I can tell you that all of these things speak very strongly towards what it is I do in my work. The things that are really most important to me, obviously, are going to be education, but we're also talking about the homelessness issue. We're also talking about the ability for people to have a home that is affordable and in a city that they feel welcome in. All of those things are tied together. I do a great deal of education on trauma ACEs with different agencies, including the Department of Education. And sorry.
Next and last, I have Frances McLaughlin.
Thank you. My name is Frances McLaughlin. I live in East Anchorage, and I'm from North Pole, and my wife's from Juneau. And we have 2 young daughters who are students at Scenic Park Elementary. It's a great neighborhood school here in town. I first want to thank you for your service. I'm really grateful for all the people who are running for election and are serving, and that's wonderful, and thank you. So I do live in East Anchorage. For my family, in the hierarchy of needs, after safety and shelter and food and water and sanitation, is education. It's very important to us, and it is time sensitive that public school education funding be increased. For my daughters in the Chinese immersion program, if they go, if funding is cut from the university, they're both in Ignite, they're both in Chinese immersion, language immersion, those sorts of extracurriculars, would be cut. And I'm just my wife and I are so proud of our daughters and how well they're doing in their schools. And we very much don't want them to lose the Chinese immersion education that they're receiving, to an extent where if the funding, if those programs aren't retained, then we have a plan, unfortunately, and this is very much something I want to do because we're both from Alaska, is to move to Redmond, Washington to attend a public Chinese immersion program there. So we're both from Alaska. We want our children to go to the universities here. We're not people who are from Minnesota or Washington who moved here. We're born and raised here, and we want to stay here. However, it's a high priority for us to education for our daughters because we think we're. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. I am so pleased that we got through our list of folks that signed up for testimony just about exactly at 4 o'clock, too, which is really nice. Thank you, Mackenzie Pope, for running the microphone today. You did a great job. What a great conversation we've had today. I've also seen at least 3 school board members here today. So there's a lot of engagement throughout the community. Thank you all for coming. Again, this was live streamed. Please feel free to back up your spoken testimony with written testimony. Anyone online, please feel free to sign on there as well. Thank you all so much for your participation in the public process. and have a lovely, lovely March day in Alaska. Thank you.
There we go. Make sure I get the right one turned on there. Thank you guys all for being here today. We just sat through 2 painful, long hours listening to those folks talk to the Alaska legislators and one from the Eagle River area. As you can tell, Jamie Allard was not there. We all got to ask the big question, why was that? Well, she was having her own town hall going on, a one-off all by herself in Eagle River, from my understanding. So, but we got to hear from a big long list of people in Anchorage and throughout the areas that from outside of Anchorage. I heard a few testimonies from folks like that, but they are all on board with the exact same things. It was all about give more money to the schools. We need to make sure we expand defined benefits. We need to make sure that we have good schooling for our children, or I should say good money for our children. Oh, wait a minute, that's still not right. We need to make sure we have more money to line the administrators' pocketbooks with and make our children still suffer with the woke agenda with no accountability for the monies and the billions of dollars they already receive every single year. Not a single person that gave testimony today addressed anything about where that money is supposed to come from. They don't care. They made it very clear by a few of them there that they don't even understand how our government works. To hear people say, well, we need to stop giving these $3-4 billion PFD payouts every single year. We need to take that money. No $4,000 PFDs for Alaskans. It needs to be like $2,000. We need to take that $2,000 or that $1,000, depending on the person you heard talking there. We need to take that $1,000 away from each and every Alaskan and use that money for education. That's what those PFDs should be there for. This shows how ignorant or stupid or outright blatantly lying to us all, how little they want us to know about how our Alaska government works. They have a law. It's been there for 8 years now. It's called the POMV law, where they take a percentage of market value of our permanent fund dividends corpus every single year, and they take that money out of, they take that money out of the corpus based on the entire amount that is in the corporation itself, both the protected part under the Constitution and the portion that's in the ERA that can be drawn upon. Now, out of that 5.25% that they're currently taking, they roughly spend about 40%, about 90% of it, it seems like, it feels like anyways, but somewhere between 60 to 75%, some years it's been 80% of that entire POMV value, and they have used it to pay for government. Wait a minute, that's our permanent fund dividends that they're using to pay for government. And these people are thinking, well, just take another $1,000 out of that PFD and we'll just give that to the schools. There, the budget problem is cured. Nobody will miss it. They'll still get a $2,000 PFD. Ignore the other 5.25% that they're already taking from the POMV draw and the billions that they take away from our permanent fund dividend to use to cover the government special interests that lined up in the room there to speak today. I am so sick of the lies being told to us about our permanent fund dividend. I would just love to be able to just ram my opinion down everybody's throat, or more or less just say, hey, mainstream media, why don't you start reporting the truth? I'm sure most of you guys may have noticed, at least I pointed it out in the comments there on Facebook, that good quarter of those sitting inside the room left about 15 minutes before 4. They filed out at the exact same time that mainstream media filed out with their big cameras, because they were going to do these special interest interviews so that they can make sure that their 30-second snippet that they want to make about what happened today in today's town hall pushes the narrative that Alaskans all want more money given to education and defined benefits and retirement packages for early retirement. Yes, that was another thing that was brought up there today. All three of those combined, if they were to pass those this year as they are written, taking the lowest dollar amounts from both the Senate and the House, different bills that they have for the same subject, we'd be looking at $750 million that we have to come up with this year, next year, to pay for all of it. Where are they going to come up with another $750 million? It's another basically another $1 billion added on to the state budget per year to cater to an agenda for people that are the worst performers in the nation. Literally, outright down the worst performers in the nation. We hear them whine and cry. Our per student population per teacher is outrageous. We have 20 kids per classroom. But wait a minute, that's about the national average. But there's these schools here, they have 12 students per teacher there. And oh, wait a minute, also look at the scholastic ability of those schools there, and they're doing worse on the performance scale. They're not even in the top 25 that they want to do the comparisons to. Look at their school amount of students per student. Why is it that the school districts that are doing the best right now are the ones that have adopted backpack funding? In other words, where your child goes, your money goes with your child. Why is it when you go and look at the schools here in Alaska, and I've gone through each school district in Alaska, I've gone through all 503 different schools that we have here in Alaska in our 54 districts, and I tried to figure out, who was the best performers? Well, why did it always turn out to be the charter schools or places like IDEA? I mean, seriously, that's a homeschool program. IDEA is, or in the charter schools, or where backpack funding seems to flow into, at a lot smaller amount than what you see going into the public school system. They don't even get near the same amount of money at that the public schools are getting. Theirs is a very small fraction, because most of them, the charter schools, don't capitalize upon a certain portion of the funding that the public schools do. So they lose a good chunk of their revenue and have to do it better and smarter and actually produce results to continue to get their funding. Public schools have no accountability. In fact, when they talk about the pre-education K through 12 that they just passed here, early learning education, that they gave the $50 per student bonus through the base student allocation formula, which they never want to talk about. Oh, they've never increased it. There's a small example. That was just last year. And the accountability that was in that bill to help performance, to be able to read by 9, that's the bill I'm talking about. The one that's supposed to help our children become better at what they do, actually maybe be not 50th in the nation or 49th, as the one person pointed out there, depending on whose graph you want to go look at. Where do you think that is? I mean, it's just, it is so mind-boggling trying to figure out our education system and why we keep trying to throw more money in for bad results. It's just not worth it. We got to stop doing it. There's got to be accountability. There needs to be noticeable achievements for the amount of money that they're getting. $20,000 per student right now. Think about that, $20,000 per student. Don't let them lie to you when they say, oh, it's only $9,000. They don't want to just tell you the state's portion of it. They don't want to talk about the federal contribution that comes in. They don't want to talk about the local contribution from the municipality or the city boroughs and those areas, the taxes that they take from our properties that go and pay that portion. So when you get done taking like the Anchorage budget, they got over almost $900 million that they themselves are spending on their education there. And they can't do it for that kind of money. I mean, it's 1.35 billion. I think it's 1.4 billion currently right at the moment that the state is providing. But they get 800 million of that. It's all the state's fault. It's all the part that we contribute that doesn't pay for it. Well, when you break it down onto what they're paying per student, That's $20,000 per student. And I mean, they have 6,000 less students going to the Anchorage School District in the last past year than they've had any other time since 2010. This is the lowest numbers of enrollment that they've had since all the way back then when our population was really declined. And it's still going backwards. We're still losing students going to school. But their funding, if you look at the funding for the Anchorage School District, it hasn't dropped one penny. Not one red cent have they lost, even though they're teaching less kids. In fact, their funding per year has increased. But they still claim they don't get enough money. Now they want to bring back a defunct program called Defined Benefits, and depending on which bill you look at, they even have one in the Education Committee called RIP in the Senate, Retirement Incentive Program, that is to give incentive to people that have been in schools that are making the top dollar tier amount right now already, a chance to go ahead and retire. If you're 50 years old, go ahead and retire. Full bennies, full pay, exactly as if you retired when you were at retirement age. And all of that money that you have encumbered in there, you can take it away with you. And oh, guess what? We're going to give an incentive to all those people that have retired. We're going to let you come back to work. You don't get to re-enroll into the retirement program. That's something that's written in further in the bill about 4 years later. But you can go back into whatever field you left from and retired from. Continue to collect your pensions, your retirement benefits at full value while receiving a full paid, basically hourly salary for going to work. And guess what? You no longer have all those dues being taken out. So now you're seeing even more in your pocket than what you were paying before. So you're making bucks now on top of receiving your retirement package. And this is what they're trying to do. And once you've been there for 4 years, here's the kicker. Let's give you the ability to change your retirement package if you were to retire right now, and they do put the defined benefits package in. You can upgrade your current retirement package into the defined benefits package that they're trying to pass right now. It just doesn't get any worse than that. And I mean, the one that's being pushed through the House right now, the HB 22, that one's for firefighters and police officers and first responders out there. And they say that's all that it's for. But then you go to the Senate Education Committee and you see that RIP RIP bill of theirs, and you look and you read further into the language of what is written inside of that bill, and I'm bringing these two up in conjunction because they work together. This RIP bill further in begins to talk about the police force and the firefighters and bringing all government employees, every single one of them, not just education and teachers. The lure to this bill was the retirement, early retirement. It'll save the state money. They're no longer paying the higher tiller wages anymore. The retirement pays a little bit less than what a actual working wage is, but still pretty dang good. And you're no longer having to work and all that extra money that goes involved in keeping your job. You just get to kick back and enjoy the luxuries of old age, but you're 50 years old. Man, I wish I had full bennies retirement right now, 50 years old, everything paid for, don't have to worry about anything. I'm all set for the rest of my life. That's what they want to give out there. And they want to give our money away to do just that. We Alaskans need to stand up. We need to stand strong. Where were all the conservatives in the room there today? We heard 2 hours of testimony given by one special interest after another. The exact same organizations that afford to be able to fly themselves down to Juneau and give testimony directly in front of these legislators in their chambers, inside of the committee chambers, inside of floor sessions. They get to sit back and sit in the guest section back in the room. Other than that, they get to go and sit up at the desks in the committee chambers and sit there and give their long, here's our flowery, what we think we should get and why we should get it. Here's all of our graphs, and here's all our pie graphs, and here's all the things that looks at. And we're only going to go back certain years, just so far, so that you can actually see the whole picture. Like education claiming they have never received any increases. That is a lie. They have received it for inflation increase every single year. That's why the budget keeps getting bigger every single year, whether they want to admit that or not. They get an inflation increase every single year. They got a $50 per student increase last year for the BSA for the Read by 9 Act that they passed in early education bill they had gone and pushed through that they all tote that's going to actually change our education, which in reality the teeth in it, the part that gave accountability that they had to actually achieve something and show it for this money, they took that part out of the bill. They left it so that they had the money. There's nothing that they have to achieve. If they don't get these children, our children, reading by 9 years old, there's nothing to hold them accountable for it. They don't want to talk about ripping the teeth out of the bill, just like the BSA formula increase right now. Any teeth, any accountability, anything that shows that they should be making an achievement by certain levels, moving up the ranks of our education from the worst in the nation to the best. Anything that says it would give it teeth, accountability for the money they're receiving, they want that all ripped out of there. In fact, it's not even in the bills. Shelley Hughes, Senator Mike Shower, the only two legislators that I'm aware of so far that have actually given testimony, public testimony on it, ripped them to pieces about accountability. And the only thing the committee members there had for questions for them was, what accountability? What are your ideas for accountability? Oh, well, we'll think about that, but, that doesn't play into our plan. Sorry, but no, we don't have any ideas for accountability. What we think we have, just giving it to them is the best thing for all Alaskans to do. All right, I've been on my soapbox now here for a little while. As always, you can find this on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, at Politadick, and our website, politadick.com. Go to our website. You can find this live right now there and be able to watch it on your favorite. If you're one of those that likes to watch on a website, then there you go. And it is a portable player. You can start it up and open it up and move it and sit it into a corner, and it'll just sit there and play for you while we're live. You can find this on Rumble. I used to say in the next 6 hours. It looks like it's taking a couple of days now to mitigate over there. Help us fix that problem at rumble.com. Go to Politadick, Politadick at rumble.com. If you're not a subscriber on Rumble, you're not someone that watches Rumble videos, be honest with you, I don't care. I'm not one that sits there and likes to watch them on Rumble neither. There's more commercials on their darn videos than there are on YouTube. But what I need your help is to become a subscriber. I need to reach 100 subscribers on there before they'll allow me to live stream directly to them. Otherwise, I got to pay a monthly fee, which without supporters like you donating, I can't afford to do things like that. So what you can do as a cheap way, something that doesn't cost you anything, is just go there, sign up, subscribe to my page, make me your one and only page, set your settings so that you never ever receive a notification, never ever receive an email from Rumble, but you become a subscriber to me and help me achieve that 100 goal so that I can have 100 people there and I can live stream directly to them. So that way videos like this one, in case YouTube says there was something election of misinformation spoken during this video here today, or we offended some community guidelines because somebody said something too woke and outrageous that they just had to censor it. Oh, wait a minute, that's the wrong side of the fence that gets censored there. That one they would still allow. But if the other side of the fence decides to say something that's offensive to those that are woke, they'll take it down. If we're on Rumble, we can stream directly to them. We don't ever have to worry about that, just like it is on our website. But our website doesn't save it like it does on Rumble so that you can go back and rewatch it right afterwards. We're only live on Politadick.com when we're live. If you go to Politadick.com, please go to our support page. Supporters like you have what made this possible to be able to do. You guys are the ones that make it possible for me to be able to live stream videos like this one. I really wanted to be in Anchorage. I had it all set ready today to go to Anchorage to be in that room live streaming this direct in the room. I'm going to be honest. I couldn't afford the gas to go there and come back. I mean, for me, that's a $50 bill to be able to drive into Anchorage and drive back out to where I live to be able to make that. I knew they were going to be live streaming it already, which is how I restreamed it to all of you here today. And but still, I took 2 hours of my day today, longer than that now, and made sure this stream was available to all of you. Stayed on top of the problems and glitches that Facebook always loves to throw out there when you try to restream stuff. They like to stall out the videos midway through, make them to where it's always having to buffer, which gets really, really annoying, and I had to restart it as quickly as possible, and then of course rechange all the screens again to match what they had flipped. I mean, they literally take the video, it's on this side of the screen when it starts, and then they flip it over to this side of the screen, and they want me to, and I've got to try to reconfigure everything to recapture the stuff all over again. Always makes things interesting. But you guys can help stop those kind of things from happening, because if I was there live, I could have streamed it, had absolutely no issues, been able to zoom in on the people, which I was trying to provide for you guys here today. I've gotten pretty good at working with this software and being able to capture certain parts of the video and just bring them up forward and make them look as if the camera had actually captured that way. That was not them doing that. That was me. That was me changing the video and making it so that the people speaking looked like they were right up in the corner. I always tried to move them somewhere where there wasn't a lot of people standing. But I always tried to make sure that if they were this tiny little thing in the very, very back of the screen, and that's all you could see of them talking, I would spend the time to locate them, blow them up, and stick them in a corner so we had a better view of who was actually speaking to the legislators up front. Again, this was a very, very woke group of people. I've been watching the messages going out all week long from the legislators and whose pages that they've been located on, and they were located on the pages of the people that you saw coming in and speaking today. You would never have found any of these on a conservative page unless someone shared it. And that's about basically where it falls in at. And that's kind of where I'm at too. You know, I would have shared it if I had time to actually do that kind of stuff anymore. I am busting my butt on a daily basis just trying to rub 2 cents together to be able to keep up with the ever increasing costs of inflation. The fuel cost for heating my home this year is outrageous. I've already spent 4 times what I did to heat my home last year, all year long. I've already spent 4 times that, and this year is not over with yet. And that doesn't even get into food costs, how much more that's costing me per month. And all of my free spare time that I had under the Trump administration and shortly thereafter to get around and actually go places and do things and be at events every single day, that extra disposable cash is gone. That's why I wasn't in Anchorage. My disposable cash is gone. And it's supporters like you that make it possible for me to even be able to do these broadcasts right now. And the ones that I do capture and the places that I do go, they help pay for the gas to be able to get there. They're helping to pay for the restreaming services so that you can watch us on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, my website, all at the same time. It's because of supporters like you that make that possible. So again, please go to our website, Politadick.com, hit that support button, help us out. Every little bit goes right back into what we're doing. I never spend that on myself. In fact, when I say it's going for gas money, it's usually that's more or less along the lines it's paying for either the website or it's helping to pay for restream services or continuing to upgrade equipment. Like right now, I have a dream. I really do. I wish I had a picture on my computer. I would pop it up right now and show you. But it is a monitor, and it's a monitor I've been wanting for about 1.5 years now. And a lot of the stuff that I'm trying to do today is on a little tiny laptop screen, and I'm trying to do all of these configurations and changes on one screen. Well, with this new monitor, it gives me the ability to split it into 2 screens or 6 screens, depending on how many connections I connect up to it. And right now, I just want to use it as a 2-screen monitor, one that will be able to run the streaming services that you guys are watching this stuff on. And I could be sitting on the other screen at the exact same time, completely making a picture and transferring it over to the other monitor so that you guys can see it. So I'm not interrupting and disrupting the broadcast. Right now, I can't go and pull up a different website while I'm streaming this one here today, because the streaming software would try to capture that new website I'm looking at. I can't go and change a picture in the background and load it, because if I do, there's a good possibility the screen will go and try to capture that instead if I happen to be using a window that looks more at my desktop than it does at the actual Explorer that I'm using to surf the internet with. You guys can help me get that. It's about a $1,200 monitor. It's not cheap. I've been out there looking for quite a long time of different ones, and the one I really want, you know, of course, that's that dream. You know, I have now hit Fox News, CNN, MSNBC level type income coming in through the door. I have those kind of dreams. In fact, there's a camera out there that I wouldn't even need streaming software anymore. I would just have to pay for its own dedicated internet, and it is a full-fledged big camera, goes around, automatically connects to the internet using the cell phone technology. All the restreaming services that I'm paying for to use every single year is built into the camera. This thing is just amazing, but it's about a $6,000 camera. So you guys can kind of see why I don't have that yet. I can afford a $2,000, $2,500 budget a year. I can't afford that $6,000 just for the camera just yet, on top of having to pay for another cell phone connection, which isn't really that bad when you get to a certain amount of phones, I'll tell you what. But again, help me out. Go to our support page. Go to Politadick.com. I'm not sure when I'll be streaming next. Wait a second. This is Sunday, so tomorrow's Monday. I will be at Sheep Creek Lodge tomorrow. I don't know if they have internet there or not. They are going to be talking about the carbon caption bill and the carbon credits bill, where they pay us to not cut down our wildlife, our forestry out there. Don't cut down any of our trees for the next 100 years, and we'll give you $1 billion to lock this up for 100 years. And for every sectional acreage that you lock off, and of course this is all going to be prime logging areas, places that we've probably been logging for a very long time. It's all part of the green initiative to lock down the resources out there so that the green agenda keeps being pushed, and resources like logging here in Alaska gets completely shut down, and we won't have the ability to log anymore. And that's just that one more resource that Alaskans will no longer have jobs in, and we will no longer be generating a revenue towards the state to pay for that ever-increasing budget that the special interest thinks to come out of trees, which is really our children's PFDs and our PFDs. So thank you guys all for being here. Please, again, like, share this video. If you have not done it already, please like it, share it. The way to beat the algorithms out there and make sure more people see it is by sharing. Sharing is caring, and that's how we keep expanding the political view out there that doesn't align with the 30-second narrative that mainstream media wants us all to believe. You guys know the drill. Thank you guys all once again for being here. Appreciate it, and your support is because of supporters like you, this broadcast was possible here today.